Every mechanical design starts its life entirely weightless, existing as an abstract idea. Eventually, it has to take on mass and become a physical object. To become reality, you balance four constraints: material strength, precision, production volume, and cost. You always have to compromise. Notice what happens when we maximize precision. The cost node spikes immediately, and production volume shrinks to almost nothing. Despite the endless complexity of modern global supply chains, engineers execute this balancing act by relying on exactly four fundamental physical manipulations: casting, forming, machining, and joining. The first of these processes is pour, formerly known as casting. You start by melting your material down into a liquid, pouring it into a shaped cavity, and letting it cool until it solidifies. Sand casting is the oldest method we have, and it remains highly economical for heavy, bulky components in low production runs. You pack sand tightly around a pattern, remove the pattern, and pour in the molten metal. If you need extreme accuracy, you move to investment casting, often called lost wax casting. This lets you produce highly intricate, smooth geometries, strictly required for critical engineering, like aerospace turbine blades. When you switch your material from metal to plastic, the process becomes injection molding. It forces molten plastic into a precision steel mold under enormous pressure to rapidly churn out identical parts. Pouring is the most efficient way to generate complex, three-dimensional shapes entirely from scratch. It builds the foundation of everything from heavy engine blocks to billions of plastic bottle caps. The second manipulation is force, or forming. Here, we apply massive pressure to bend, squeeze, or stretch raw material into a new shape, without cutting away a single scrap. Rolling accomplishes this by casting metal between rotating cylinders, compressing the material's thickness to quickly produce long sheets, flat plates, and structural beams. Then we have forging, where heated metal is hammered or pressed into shape under thousands of tons of pressure. It is the absolute standard for generating maximum physical strength in a component. To understand why it's so strong, take a look at this microscopic cross-section. When you hammer a heated part, you force its chaotic, random internal grain structure to compress and flow smoothly along the specific outer contours of the shape. Compare that directly to a cast part. While the forged grain aligns perfectly with the stress lines on the left, the cast metal on the right maintains a random, blocky structure that often contains microscopic voids. Those microscopic voids create structural failure points. Because of that exact risk, critical safety components subjected to immense impact, like an aircraft's landing gear struts or a car's crankshaft, must always be forged. Forming actively engineers the internal physics of the metal to guarantee it holds together under stress. Next is cut, or machining. This is a subtractive process. You start with a solid block of raw material and carve away everything that isn't the final part to uncover the exact shape hiding inside. On a lathe, this action is called turning. The raw workpiece spins at high speeds, while a stationary blade presses in, carving out perfect cylinders. Milling works in the exact opposite configuration. The material remains locked in a stationary vise, and a high-speed rotating tool travels across the surface to carve out deep pockets and complex asymmetrical geometries. Today, we automate these cutting actions using computer numerical control, or CNC. Software drives multi-axis cutting heads to carve intricate, repeatable patterns far faster and far more accurately than any human operator could manage. Machining does waste a lot of raw material as chips fall to the floor, but it is strictly mandatory when you need tight aerospace or medical tolerances measured down to the micrometer. The final verb is combine, or joining. Engineers use this when a required structure is simply too large to be poured or carved in a single machine. Welding creates a permanent joint by applying extreme heat to melt and fuse separate pieces of metal together at the molecular level, handling everything from thin copper pipes to heavy steel hulls. If a product requires future maintenance or disassembly, you have to avoid welding and rely on mechanical fasteners. Heavy structural rivets, bolts, and screws pin the pieces together securely but allow for future access. Modern manufacturing is also rapidly expanding its use of advanced adhesive bonding. It allows us to permanently connect highly dissimilar materials, like gluing a lightweight carbon fiber composite directly onto a rigid metal frame. By combining distinct parts, engineers break past the dimensional limits of their tools, synthesizing thousands of small, optimized subassemblies into functional skyscrapers, cargo ships, and jets. You can have a brilliant, perfectly modeled digital design, but it will completely fail in the real world if you select the wrong manufacturing process to build it. The defining variable is almost always volume. If you need a single prototype gear, you might quickly 3D print it. But if the market demands 1 million units of that exact same gear, you have to transition entirely to die casting or injection molding. An engineer's real job is orchestrating these exact processes. They calculate when to pour, force, cut, and combine to ensure a product is both functional and economical to produce. Now that we know how physical machines shape our world, we need to understand how we communicate with them. In our next episode, we decode the hidden language engineers use to specify exact dimensional limits, the language of GD&T.